YouTube channel. Today I'd like to kind of continue on from where we've left off in the last session, and we've talked a lot about our soul's journey, why we've come down to earth, what it's about, touched on the chakras, which we won't go further into at this point. But what I'd like to pick it up from today is predominantly this lifetime, what it means to you, because this lifetime is a very different lifetime to the past ones that we've all lived. Before we entered, as I said, we've written our contracts, we have sorted out the game players, we've sorted out the majority of our movie, because it is a free will game, so we're given opportunity to explore and to change parts of the movie, but predominantly we stick to the theme that we've chosen, or the themes, the core teachings. So with this one in particular, though, it's different, because before we all signed up to it, the soul at the highest level knew that the game of duality was coming to a close in this particular lifetime, that we were heading towards the new millennium. The bigger picture from our higher parents, our source energy parents, was that as the millennium shifted in 2000, that a major cycle of the Piscean era was over, which was very much of the masculine energy, patriarchal, and the love of power. And we were now shifting backwards and turning our hearts and our being back to the homeward direction, where we would actually be remembering who we really are. Now, what that means is we have all chosen, yes, we have again, to wake up consciously and remember who we really are. And that's not who we are at the personality level. That's who we really are in our highest energetic being level. So with that in mind, predominantly we are all incredible light beings who are emanating and radiating sound and light constantly. We are so not physical, and that's the game that we've come to now remember. And in short, we've come to release the illusion that we've created for the game of duality, and which that allowed, which is that we are physical, we have a human body, and that we're dense. We're none of that. So it's a tricky old time, because the millennium was the beginning of the shift. As the millennium arrived, we had triple dates to get us ready for change. Now, as I said right in the beginning of time, spirit is mathematically, energetically, scientifically more precise than you could ever imagine, more than any scientist of 3D thinking could ever believe, and more than any quantum science could ever imagine. We just can't fathom the capacity of what spirit is in the greater picture with these eyes. Okay, so in lead up to this, though, many souls came still playing duality before 2000, and many have passed over, and that was the soul's choice, that for those who didn't and don't want to continue playing the game, or are now choosing not to play the transitional game of the wake up. So that's why we're seeing many souls leaving and departing. They've been going in mass numbers, and they will continue to, and that's just as perfect as the souls who are choosing to stay and sort through their stuff. Up until 2000, though, we were of the dual mind, as I said. We were governed by fear, which still remains, but losing power. We were governed by the love of power, which is the basis of fear. And so we were on a collective level on a cataclysmic path to a not so pleasant outcome, which is why old prophecies like Nostradamus in ancient times were predicting some horrible, nasty endings as potentials and possibilities for the world. And they were predicting that, we have to remember, with the energies that were in the collective at that particular moment in time. Now, energy changes all the time, which is why they haven't happened, and they are not going to happen. Because on the greater collective level, again, we have chosen as a majority group not to go through a cataclysmic outcome in any way, shape or form. That's it. It's truth. So up until the shift, though, in 1987, this was a pivotal time, though, just to give you some back details of what was actually going on an energetic level. 87 was a pivotal point, because many may know or may not know that was the year of what's called the harmonic convergence. Now, that particular time was a moment in time where, again, on the collective level, we, as we go into our little trips at night in our dream time, we meet and discuss all the game that we are choosing to play out and what we want to change and what we don't like and how we want to accelerate things or change or remain. With the Great Karmic Board, there was a discussion take that took place that said, and they were concerned on the higher levels that we weren't in the place energetically where we were able to do this great transition when 2000 came. We were way behind and really thick and the horrible aspects of fear. We were way down in our density vibration. So to accelerate this path, we were given not only a dispensation called the Violet Flame, which I will talk about at another time, but it was a moment in time where at the soul level, we chose to accelerate collectively to accelerate the proceedings towards 2000. And so there was a great momentous wake up in many souls on the planet, and particularly what are called the first wavers, who have been waking up for many years, doing their journey well before 2000. So for me personally, in 1987, I actually had my first experience when I was undertaking my midwifery training of seeing my first aura. And it was with a prominent obstetrician at the time in a huge lecture hall where I thought I was going crazy. And he was just shining with lights all around him, and I was in my physical mind and my clinical mind checking out the lights, the blinds, the windows, everything. And at that point in time, you weren't able to speak about stuff like this. So even though I knew what was going on, I knew in my heart I was doing everything, or my ego was, to run away and dismiss every part of it that I possibly could. But that was the moments for many of us in 1987. There was a lot of stuff that took place. There was a lot of energies that shifted for people. And mine didn't personally come on dramatically for another 7 years. But it was the shifting of my deep cellular activity with that activation that my body started undertaking changes and gearing up towards the bigger pictures that, I had to walk and the bigger path that I had to travel. So anyway, that was just a little bit of hindsight. So from that moment in time, things started to accelerate. As I said, those souls who were literally activated in 1987 came online, so to speak, and the energy started to shift, and many woke up, and the change started to become not obvious, but certainly more out in the open than it had ever been, because all this kind of energy talk and understandings, theosophical understandings, were always behind closed doors in past times. And still, with the ancient energies, many were witch hunted and judged and labelled accordingly. And we all have memories somewhere of that. So we got to 2000, and as I said, we had triple dates that were absolutely alchemical and numerological energy bases for the changing of energy structures in our world. So we had 111, 222, 333, 444, etc., which took us up to finally the 12, 12, 12. And as most of you may have heard or would know, we had the advent of the Mayan calendar, or the date that was proposed as the end of the world, as the 21st of the 12th, 2012. Now, as three-dimensional thinking does, and all it can do, is it can only observe and work through what it can with its eyes and with its known knowledge in density states. So the information from the Mayans about the end of an era was taken as the end of a destructive force, the end of the world as we know it, but that's not what it was about at all. It was simply about the end of an era of time where duality was ceasing, and we were now going to be opening into the new Aquarian era, which is all about unity and love consciousness. So this was the shift. Now, the Earth itself is a major player in this movie, as we know. We cannot have this game without the Earth Mother. She is the basis of all energy. She is the first mother we've known on this planet, because we can't get here energetically without her. And the bigger picture is, as we know in physical, all things are birthed of the feminine, be it the female in form, physically, or the feminine energy, which is where we give birth to our thoughts and ideas. Okay, so this is this underlying consciousness. Now, the Earth Mother, in her amazing capacity as an entity in herself, has made her choice that she is not playing duality either, which is again the bigger part of the picture for change, but she too is moving into fifth dimensional vibrations now. That was the plan and the gearing up from 2000 to 2012, and by 2012 she would make the quantum leap into 5D matrix configuration and crystalline pattern. Okay, so in preparation, all those triple dates that I mentioned were activations of codes of light and sound, energies that you can't see that exist within you and around you in the earth. They were all being activated again by the higher frequencies of light and sound coming in from the galaxies and universes that surround us. Again, the bigger picture, you can't even begin to comprehend. So we just need to accept that. Up until 2011, we were still playing the duality game, which is why if we look back, we can see, you know, many people often say, you know, well, what's changed so much now? Where I used to just be able to, life was easier and I could just forget about things and they weren't in my face and I didn't have to go through this and I wasn't challenged and blah, blah. And it's true, because that's what duality was about. It allowed, and the Earth Mother had codes in her being that supported the game, which is how we could play here and, you know, densify here to have the illusion of light and dark. Because it doesn't happen beyond 3D. It just doesn't exist. It's all 5D and above. So as we change the codings with the triple dates and as souls at their level became more activated and were tuning to the higher frequencies coming in, we were all doing that according to the original contract that we signed up to before we came in. We said when we would wake up, and it's absolute. Physically, we can't change that. It's just going to happen, okay? But with those numbers, we got to a very auspicious date called the 11-11-11. Now, this was a monumental moment in time, and many of the first waivers from 1987, again, we're given clues, we're giving these activation moments. Many had been seeing, and today many are still seeing, the number 1111. Okay, these are specific frequency codes. When you see them, you are being activated on a deep cellular level. Okay, it's like just someone sticking in a code, bang, and the lights go on. A lot of people are asking, what's it about? This is actually your higher self connecting to you, saying activation happening, very simplistically. Okay, but on the 11-11-11 itself, back then, what happened was the Earth Mother had agreed that all the codes of fear that she held to play the game of fear were being turned off, and the codes of love were now being turned on in preparation for the 21st of the 12th, 2012, just over a year later. Okay, so what happened on that 11-11-11 was amazing to watch for some people. I was very aware at the time, and I was running a business at the time, but and teaching. But it was literally, for me, how I choose to still speak of it, that as we turned those codes off, fear literally, as an energy consciousness, now had nowhere to hide. Prior to that date, it could be suppressed, repressed, denied, ignored, and pushed away, locked away behind any door we chose to just put it to. But on the 11-11-11, those doors now, those aspects of hiding and denial and suppression were not being supported anymore. So the fear rose to the surface dramatically. And for many, it hit them like a ton of bricks overnight, that I had calls the next day going, what the hell's happened to me? What's going on in my world? I've got to get up and leave this relationship, this job. I've got to move countries. I don't know what's going on with me. From that point on, there was deterioration and breakdowns on many structures within a whole dynamic range of options, because the truth wasn't supported through fear. The truth was now being able to come to the surface. Fear was raising itself to the surface. It was coming up to be witnessed and actualized, which is part of the bigger picture of what we've come to do. That has continued. Okay, when 21st of the 12th occurred, that was the end of the Mayan calendar as predicted. That was the end of duality as we knew it, completed. And that next 12 months into 13 was like the 0 year in preparation for the new birthing of the Aquarian age. So we've seen over the last couple of years particularly, again, many people raising and having issues raised within their personal being, within their immediate world. We're seeing it on the collective world. We're seeing it globally. Issues that are not based in love are coming up for the balance. That's simply all we're doing. We signed up to it. On 3D level, we're absolutely flabbergasted, like, what the hey is going on? Things have just shifted overnight. You know, I can't control this. I'm not in control half the time anymore. Hooray, I say. But there's a lot of things that are now surfacing for many, many people. And we've actually now, I see, divided ourselves almost into 3 waveforms. So there's the first wavers, as I said, who have been alert, awake, doing their work, almost the preparation people for what was coming. So we may have been teaching early, getting people prepared, understanding, working through levels of consciousness, getting ourselves organised to be able to hold the incoming light. Because as the earth has changed, to be able to move into a higher dimensional zone, we have to be able to accommodate the light that is that home, the frequencies that resonate to that vibration. So we have to have souls who are able to accommodate the frequencies and to be able to integrate and absorb them, because if none of us were doing that, then the whole planet would have literally just imploded and end of game, and we'd just go back to not getting what we've come to do. Simple as that. So there's a huge energy dynamic that's taking place, and this is in its very simplistic form to give you an idea of what's been going on. So we hit 2012, as I said, major changes, and I don't think coincidentally at all. And I don't have the validated evidence and proof because I just don't do that anyway. But my knowing is that if I did go back and find graphs and data, we would see the mass increase of depression, anxiety, autistic spectrum disorders. We would see a whole range of mental health illnesses that have been on the increase dramatically since that date of 2011 and definitely since 2012. And that includes food intolerances and food allergies. Now, they've been rising gradually. In fact, they've been rising well and truly since the 2000s, if not slightly before. But we're seeing dramatic rises now. And again, they are also frequency energy based. Okay, and we will go into that at another time also. So, as I said, here we are in this current time of now, and today is, I think, around the 28th of June. We're in a moment where we're seeing incredible global things that are taking place. We've just had Brexit over in the UK. We've got Donald Trump going over in the US. But prior to that, we're witnessing a whole range of energies that are now surfacing before us to be acknowledged and looked at on a much deeper level. As the beings of light that we are coming in to wake up and play this game consciously now, why things are happening is simply for that purpose. We have chosen to wake up to the lower energy forces within us, the lower vibrations that maintain us in fear and all negative-based conditions. And we're asking at soul level for all those conditions to be neutralized now into a very balanced state of being. And when we're in balance, we can shift our energies up into our heart, and literally we're here to rebalance all fear-based thought forms and programs and paradigms and belief structures that we have ever been witness to, programmed by, a part of over the eons of time that we have incarnated. So there's a lot going on in our world, so be gentle to yourself. Okay, it takes time. However, the energies now are such that they are assisting us to accelerate at incredible rates. And so healing is occurring at a much faster and more gracious level of being. So where we're going from here is our own unique story of unfolding, but the aim and the higher purpose is that we are here to shift. We are here to raise our vibrations, and to do that, we are here to do that consciously. So this is why we are creating, and remember, we are the creators. We are creating the opportunity through every moment that we perceive, be it that positive or negative, to gain a higher understanding of who we are, what we're about, what thought forms we hold, and what ultimately does not serve us anymore that we can let go of, so that we can maintain the highest vibration and be the highest potential, fully healed, energy light being of truth and sound that we really are. Okay, so I hope that gives a little bit of an idea about what you're about now, what's going on. As I said, I'm just keeping that succinct at the moment to be absorbed, and we can expand on that at a little bit at a later time. Okay, so I'll leave that for today, and then I'd like to go a little bit deeper next time into the understanding of our energy and how that presents in our world, and how we can start utilizing what we know, and giving you the skills of how to actually change your world, how to change your thinking, and how to accelerate through this as gracefully and as efficiently as you can. That's in accordance with your divine plan. And it isn't a chore. It doesn't have to be a chore. It really is about how we choose to look at everything in our world. So with that in mind, I'll leave you for now, and I'll catch up with you next time. So have a good day. Bye.